Another absolutely atrocious offensive performance. We'll get into that as they head into the bye. What will happen compared to what should happen. Also, under the wire, we survived kind of buying again in fantasy football. A few more buys coming up this week. Got our under the wire waiver wire picks and a special guest for a deep dive on this Browns team. Let's go.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. The sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Shabba Lubba Hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody, and an RIP to the late, great Jim Donovan. You heard his voice there. It was 1 year since his passing over the weekend. So RIP Jim Donovan and his family, the absolute GOAT, legend. Use him as inspiration in my own play-by-play career. Absolute stud, Jim Donovan, RIP. We're going to have Lance Reisland from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland come on in a few minutes' time, as well as contributor to Cleveland.com. We're going to be pulling up the film, kids, all right? We're going to be pulling it up. We're not hiding from this. We're going to see the good and then a lot of the bad and what the Browns may or may not be able to do when it comes to how poorly run this franchise is, really from top to bottom, outside of the defense. Make sure you're clicking subscribe, notifications on. I want to hear you. What do you want to happen? Not what you think will happen. What do you want to happen during this bye week? If you had Jimmy said, hey, I'm taking off for vacation, I want you to make the call. You firing everybody? You firing some, firing none? What are you doing? Tell me. And boy, we'll get to it in a few minutes, but we'll go under the wire, waiver wire pickups for this fantasy football week 9 already. Unbelievable, right? And we have to keep an eye too. NFL trade deadline coming up over the next few days as well. First, though, we got to give out some awards. I'll use it loosely. Doghouse Dog Bones. Let's take a look. You know what? The dog bone list is going to be very short. It begins and ends with Myles Garrett. What an absolute, just an outstanding, historic performance from Myles Garrett. 5 sacks, a forced fumble, went from 5 to 10 sacks on the season. And for what? You still lose 32-13 to the New England Patriots. Do you think Myles is happy he took the money now or wanted out? He was frustrated, threw his helmet down. Was it because he wanted a 6th sack? Was it because he really was upset that their starters were in still for New England? He wanted to play? I don't know. I don't particularly care. But Myles Garrett was an absolute monster. Best in the league, and the Browns are wasting another future Hall of Famer's career like they did with Joe Thomas. Myles Garrett was absolutely unstoppable. An unstoppable force of nature. 6 total tackles, 5 sacks, forced a fumble. Come on. And then, to show you how good Drake May is, he still throws 3 touchdowns. Carson Schlesinger gets an INT. Give a dog bone to Schlesinger. It looks like a mild high ankle sprain. So that could be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, which is disappointing with the season he had. We'll see how he is off the bye. Quinshon Judkins also on injury news. Looks like a mild AC joint sprain in the shoulder. Called day-to-day, which means with the bye week, hopefully he's going to be fine. But outside of Myles, are you giving a dog bone to anyone outside Myles? Again, Schlesinger. Surprise, it's on the defense. I thought Devin Bush had a nice game as well. Tyson Campbell went out. Good Lord. Tyson Campbell's been outstanding, and he's gone now. The doghouse. Line him up. Not enough room. Dylan Gabriel, atrocious. He was who I thought he was before the draft. Remember, folks, leading up to the draft, I didn't even have him in the conversation because I thought there is no way the Browns being in Ohio, well, doesn't matter where you are, you saw the Ohio State Buckeyes thump the Oregon Ducks and Dylan Gabriel. There's no way they'd consider him. This guy's got a 6th round grade. No, not old Andrew Berry, who's smarter than everybody else. 3rd round pick on Dylan Gabriel, 5'9" quarterback. They list him at 6 feet. Sure, I'm 7 feet tall then. Great. Making up heights. Why not? 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 21 to 35, 156 yards. And after that opening drive, their next several drives, they have 47 yards, a QB rating of 65.9. You know why the Browns lost? Because you have Kevin Stefanski, who forgot how to call plays, and you have a 5'9" rookie quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, who is a fringe backup. And I knew that from before he was drafted. Who do the Patriots have? Mike Vrabel, who's in your building. Oh, and Drake May, who looks and is playing like a combo of Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. That's how I graded him coming out with his upside. You got a tall, big, athletic quarterback, tiny little Hawaiian quarterback. Dylan Gabriel, he can process fast. Great, really? Did he process quickly when he threw the ball, intentional grounding for a safety? Was that processing quickly, Andrew Berry? Kevin Stefanski, was that processing quickly? His computer mind? You want to process quickly, go sit in the analytics department with Giuliani and the rest of those guys in Berea. You'd be just as useful. I'm done seeing Dylan Gabriel. Give me Shedeur Sanders. And he'll probably be bad too. But I'd rather see Shedeur Sanders. That's your last play. And oh, guess what, kids? We're hearing Deshaun Watson's name again. Yep. We're going to come full circle. Why not? Why not? Right? Bring them all back. Bring Deshaun Watson out at home. See what happens if anyone's in the building by that point. Anyone's in the stands. 2-6. The offense is historically atrocious. Is Dylan Gabriel? I'm getting Cody Kessler vibes. That year when you have what? Cody Kessler, Kevin Hogan, Deshaun Kaiser vibes. Like there is nothing there. There's nothing there. The offensive line pass protection actually held up pretty well. He doesn't even. I'm beginning to blame more the quarterback than Stefanski on this game. He snapped the ball, looked immediately to a check down and threw it, either behind the line of scrimmage or there, averaging 4.5 yards per pass, which I think is skewed, to be honest with you. Most of them were 3 yards, if not less. Disgusting offense. Are they going to trot this out? Stefanski was non-committal because he isn't making the decisions. The front office, the collaboration is. Jimmy Haslam, the collaboration sucks. It's dead. It didn't work. It's okay. Cut bait. Deep Podesta, top down. Start now. Come on. You're torturing your fan base. Torturing your fan base. Everyone else in the doghouse. My goodness. Just outrageous. And then it would play that worked. Malachi Corley. Malachi Corley was your leading rusher, 31 yards, 1 carry. The uncreativity. The lack of creativity in this run game. Hey, I know. Let's run straight into that wall that we see there. I feel like running into a wall as a fan. Because that's all we're doing. We're running into walls and nothing's happening. It's broken. Kevin Stefanski's broken. You don't have a quarterback, period. And you're wasting talents from Myles Garrett and Quinshon Judkins. All right. We're going to get to Under the Wire fantasy football questions in a little bit. You got your fantasy questions for week 9? Some more buys. Hit me up on X. Give us a follow at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. Instagram and TikTok at AndyMC Sports. You see post-game reaction. You missed the Sundays. Go back and watch. I'll tell you what I really think there. All right? Pretty much the same as here, but right after the game passion. You get it. Give us a follow. Also, great new channel to follow. Go to YouTube. BN Blitz. All one word. Just type in BN Blitz. Check it out. Fun new channel. Make sure you subscribe to them. Let's bring in my guy, Coach Lance Reisland from 92.3 The Fan from Cleveland.com. He does just the detail this man does with his game analysis is phenomenal. Lance, welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me. How are you tonight?
Oh, Lance, you know what, man? I'm not happy. We'll go through at the bye week. I thought this is the perfect week to have Lance on because gives us a chance to digest what we've seen over the first 8 weeks, look at some plays, see maybe where we can make some improvements. But Lance, even the most optimistic fan, you watch this offense. What's going through your mind after Sunday?
Well, I was listening to you. I'm not, I've told everybody I'm not anti Dylan Gabriel as much as everyone else. And obviously he hasn't played well this week, but there's so many holes in this offense and so many holes in what's going on. Obviously as a quarterback and as a play caller, that's what you sign up for. And he knows that. And Kevin Stefanski knows that. But there's so many things that have happened, including him. He has his hand in it as well. But the receivers have been bad. The run game has been, kind of okay. The offensive line has been kind of okay. Everybody's kind of had their hand in this. But I still, for me, though, I was high on Shedeur Sanders. I was high on Dillon Gabriel as well. I still don't think after 16 quarters, with all the things that happen. Now, people, the thought is everybody wants Shedeur Sanders. And sometimes you make a quarterback move and that works. For me, coaching for as long as I did, sometimes when you have so many other holes, you might get same results just because there's just not a lot around the quarterback position right now in terms of skill and guys who can make plays. So, no, Dillon Gabriel has not played well, but I do not think he's the only reason they're struggling. And I still think he can be successful. Now, how successful it can be, I don't know. He hasn't played very well, but nobody has on that side of the ball. Right. So, once again, like I try to stick to what I see on film, and a lot of it is him and a lot of it is not him. And as a combination, it's a very, very poor offense.
It is. And Lance, you're totally right, because if the offensive line plays well, the quarterback doesn't. If the quarterback makes a nice throw, the receiver drops it. Like, it's just a spiral.
Yeah, he's part of it. Everybody's got their hand in it.
Right? Yeah. And Jerry Jeudy, like, is he not getting open, or is Gabriel not looking for him? Like, 2 targets for what's supposed to be your top receiver. Like, Lance, my goodness. It's just terrible. And the run game, Quinshon Judkins is a stud, but we see it. I'm sure you're the same. Sometimes you're lining up and I'm thinking, I say out loud, I'm like, they're going to run straight at this wall. And then they do, and nothing happens. And it drives fans bananas.
Well, yeah, they're struggling. They got against Miami, they ran some more of their gap schemes where they're pulling the guards. They've been running a lot of duo and inside zone, which is more of a Tommy Rees thing. I think they're going to get back to more of the gap scheme. Problem is their tackles have been really, really poor, both in the run and pass. Better in the run. They actually played okay last week in pass protection as well. Those kids are getting better. Once again, it's, I try to not make knee-jerk reactions when things are going bad or well, because it's so, and I tell everybody, everybody has had their things to say about Shedeur and Dillon. And one thing I like is Cleveland fans are invested. Cleveland fans have expectations, and that's okay, because I've never wanted to work or coach anywhere where that wasn't expected. So the guys got to play better. They got to block better. Once again, I will say this: quarterbacks get way too much blame, way too much credit. Everybody on that side of the ball, coaches, players, everybody has their hand in what's going in with that offense right now.
They certainly do. So we have that loss. That was terrible. But now we have a chance to breathe and take a look. You sent over some clips, some highlights for us to sort of pick apart and kind of go over some good, some bad, and maybe look ahead and end on a positive note. Because one thing I love about having you on, Lance, I always start so down, and by the end, I'm like, it might be okay.
Well, it's a gift. I will be honest with you. My late father, I always give that when he was a head coach and I was his offense coordinator. I would come in after a tough loss and I would be frustrated. I would be down, and my dad would always say, "No one cares. We got to fix it." And so I always kind of think that way because, as Kevin Stefanski, everybody is against him, and somebody's got to light the fuse, somebody's got to light the spark, somebody's got to get it going. And my dad taught me that. So yeah, win, lose, or draw, I'm coming back ready to roll, and that's how I've always been. So yeah, I win or lose, I flush it, and we move on, and we got to figure out ways to win.
Well, we're definitely flushing that one. Okay, let's look at the defense. Producer Jimmy, if you can pop up the first defensive link that Lance will walk us through. This is for the first part of the season. Take us through this. Now, Malik Collins, you talked about him before the season, Lance, when we had you on. You said, watch out for this guy, and boy, is he delivered.
Well, you'll see inside there, Malik Collins right here. He's gonna watch. He's gonna see the center pool. The thing about Malik Collins that I didn't realize is how good he is against the run. He's always been a great pass rusher, lots of pressures. But you're gonna see him here. He's gonna see that center pool, and he's gonna cross the face. It's a technique where he's gonna go across the face of that guard, and you're gonna see he takes that 300-pounder, just throws him to the ground. Malik Collins, those guys inside have been very, very good. Obviously, Myles Garrett has been outstanding. Myles Garrett is also, obviously, the sacks are what everybody sees, but Myles has played the run very well this year as well. That's because that whole defensive line has been very good. Malik Collins, Mason Graham have been an extreme upgrade inside. I think those guys are only going to get better. I think Mike Hall is going to get better. I don't know if Shelby Harris is on the trading block because he's a veteran, but Mike Hall is a guy who can play. Kamara is a kid that can play. They have a lot of talent inside, along with Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire. But Malik Collins has been a guy I was very high on when they picked him up, just because of his the scheme fit and how active he is.
Yeah, and you mentioned Alex, right? He's had quietly a very good season. Let's look at the next defensive play there, Jamie, if you can pop her up. See what we got here. Take a look at. Might be something with Delpit here. What do we got on the defense there, Jimmy? There was speaking of Grant Delpit, there's one that you sent with him. Delpit is quietly, Lance, I think having his best season in the NFL.
Well, he absolutely. What they've done is they put him down in the box, and what they did against Miami, they brought him on some pressures. Him and Jenkins were down in the box. They did a lot of simulated pressures. That's something that they started doing against Miami. I think they're getting worn down a little bit. When they say complementary football, that's what happens with defenses or offense that are very good. You have to play complementary football because you say, oh, they gave up 30 points. Well, they're really fighting their tails off. They're kind of on their own. They're not hanging their head, though. Mm-hmm. They're trying to do more, and I appreciate that of them. But Delpit's a guy who's been really good down in the box. Without question, his best year as a pro. He's been impactful, the kind of plays you thought he would have when he came out of LSU.
Yeah. Jimmy, you got another one to pop up here, bud? One of Lance's ones here? I'm looking on my phone. We got Schwartz gets Garrett. While Jimmy finds those Lance, you got one up here, and at Lance Reisland on X. You can find it here. You have Schwartz gets Garrett free from the double team with a TE twist, and we know the athleticism and the bend on Garrett. Try to verbally walk us through this.
Well, you're going to see what everybody's doing with Myles. Myles is a special player. They doubled him all the time. But Schwartz is now, after Myles talked to him, and I think it's a great credit to Schwartz saying, their best player kind of talked and said, I'd like to get some more matchups and some winnable matchups because he's getting doubled all the time. So the one thing that they did that I love is they're starting to put him on twists. And the only reason they can twist is because they have Malik Collins and they have Mason Graham inside who are fast enough and agile enough to be a part of those twists, because when they twist outside, they now become contained and they have defensive end rules. But that gets Myles away from the double team and allows him to beat the guards. So they've done some different stuff. They've also stood him up now last couple of weeks where they're putting them at a linebacker and bringing him. And whether he gets pressure or not, you have to locate him as an offensive lineman. And that's been huge for them. So not only has the defensive line been good, but Schwartz has also said, we're going to create some more one-on-one matchups for you. And he's done a great job of that.
And the rare time, really only the Miami game, and Myles just took over the matchup against New England. When they did, Lance, we saw when they had a 2-score lead, the creativity, we saw turnovers. We just saw Schwartz be able to be creative. Like, it was so nice to see if this offense could just somehow just score 24 points, just something to give the defense a bit of a breath, like you saw in Miami. Like, we were showcase of what this defense could be. As good as it's been, it can be even better.
Yeah, it could be even better. And, I will say this too about, I've heard a lot, people have asked me about play calls and predictability and things like that. I will say this, play calls are play calls. As offensive coaches, we know what we know, but what they're really struggling with is they're struggling with execution and lack of talent. Now the play calls are they're part of it as well. And we know as offensive coordinators, we make lots of mistakes. But that's really what I see, is because that same offense, when you run it with good players, is very successful. Kevin Stefanski's not dumb. He hasn't gotten dumber. It's just that his offensive skill is not very good, and he's struggling to adjust with that. And obviously that's not an excuse for him because other coaches have to do it as well. But for me, I'm not a big believer in predictable offense. I'm a big believer in lack of execution, which is really what's killing them.
Let's take a look now at this offense. Jimmy, if you can bring up the offensive clip here. And we take a look-see. So at the 13 personnel, what a 13 personnel can do to defense.
So you can see here they spread out, and then what happens this is what Kevin's really good at. Kevin's going to get you're going to see Njoku's going to get matched up on that inside linebacker. The inside linebacker, because of the shift, does not realize he has him in cover, and that's Patrick Queen. So Queen is going to let him run free. Now this would be an example of pretty good pass protection and Dilling missing it. Now, once again, for me, it's not about him missing it. It's does he understand he misses it? Now, other thing with him, as you see it from the end zone, I give you the end zone copy, and you're going to see where Dilling could step to his left. And I think if he steps to the left, he would see Njoku running wide open. But his footwork isn't what it should be at this point. Now, it's hard to judge because obviously where the Browns are at, and I'm not smart enough to say that he can or can't, but you can see where he could step up there and deliver the ball, and he doesn't do it. I just don't know. For me, after 16 quarters, I'm not sold if he can or can't. I just know he's made some throws that have been outstanding, but he's also missed a lot, and he hasn't seen a lot. Now, once again, that has nothing to do with his height. The guys at Oklahoma, the guys at Oregon, they were all tall. He's found lanes. He knows how to do it. It's just the speed of the game. And this is a normal rookie process. I thought it was really good until this week. I thought he took a step back, even though most people were unhappy with his play. I tell you, I wasn't. I thought he did a lot of good things until this week. I thought he really struggled with his accuracy and seeing where people were coming from. So this is a week that was a lot on him. And you want to see how he rebound, and I told everybody this week, people want Shedeur Sanders in there, and they're mad that Shedeur Sanders isn't getting reps. Well, when I heard Shedeur Sanders wasn't getting reps, I was actually excited for Shedeur Sanders, because when he does get his chance, he will be getting all the reps. And the quarterback who's starting deserves all the reps. And that's how I've always coached, and that's how most coaches on the offensive side of the ball do. So I like the fact that tells me they're still trying to win. That tells me they're giving the first guy reps. That tells me that when Shedeur gets in, when he does, that he'll get all the reps and he'll get a fair look. But I'll tell you what, with this offensive line, the receivers, everything involved, it's really hard to I'm really kind of hesitant judging either of these guys because I've only seen 16 quarters of Dillon and I've seen 0 quarters of Shedeur. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But the other pieces around have to get better as well as the quarterbacks.
Definitely. And we saw something where it's when the offensive line is even a little stable. Conklin stays in. Robinson, like Lance, the offensive line looked actually decent this week. The run game was a problem because New England knew you just stack the box. If you can stop the run, you'll make Gabriel throw, and we saw bad things happen. But if we can get some stability with that pass protection, now we can maybe start to have a fair evaluation as we go, right? That might be a situation where we can look at Gabriel and say, okay, what is he when he has more time, right? And I think that's important. Let's pull up another one. Jimmy, you got? Is this another offensive one? Let's see here. Oh, what do we got here?
So you're going to see right here. All right, let me see here. Okay, so it's the rail route. And what you're going to see here is that this is a classic example of a drop. So as you go back, you're going to see Harold Fannon's up on the bunch. Harold Fannon's going to run a great route, over route on the opposite, outside the opposite hash. Dillon does a great job of stepping to his left and delivering a really good ball, and he takes a really big hit there, delivers a great ball, and Fannin drops it. And Fannon's been outstanding. Now, does that mean he's going to play great the rest of the game? No, but I think it'd be fair to say, when a quarterback makes a big play, takes a big hit, a big catch, sometimes you get in a rhythm. Maybe it helps the run game, just the momentum a little bit. So, again, as you said earlier, the Browns have not only he's not played well, but they've also, when Flacco was in, they turned it over, and then they haven't run it consistently. And then the pass protection and the drops, all the stuff that you've talked about, we've all talked about, that all ties into it. So they can't, when one thing happens, they seem to kind of snowball. And there's a classic example of a guy who's been really, really good. Fannon's been outstanding. He just dropped it, and he will tell you he dropped it because I saw, the people I work with talked to him. He said, I just dropped it, and he owned it. But those are the kind of plays that hurt a quarterback too, whether it's, once again, this is not, for me, it's not about the quarterbacks who are in. It's about the performance of the quarterback who's in. And I thought it was okay. I think it took a step back this week. But if the next guy who goes in, if he doesn't have catches, if he doesn't have protection, if he doesn't have those things, there's going to be a lot of similar results.
Yes.
Because they need to address some of those things up front and with the receivers. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, now that they have an identity with the run game, they can build off that, you would think. Yeah,
and you're right. Fannin, I'll take the odd drop for that guy's third, fourth effort. Like, Lance, what I love, I said on a couple shows in a row, he'll catch the ball, and then every time that guy pushes for 5 more. Like, his effort is inspiring. You see it? That is an inspirational play, him and Judkins. But Fannin more so because it's a bit more out in the open. Holy cow. Like, this guy just doesn't give. I'll take the odd drop for that effort and that production.
Sure, wow. Yeah, and you have those, and what it is, it just seems like it's their snake bit, right? Because there's the one time, they talk about Dillon not being able to push it deep, which he's missed a number of passes. Then he pushes it deep and he gets a drop. He gets a drop on one of the guys that you consistently would catch it, or you get a missed pass protection, or if you see he doesn't move it. So even though it was a bad throw, if he moves to his left, maybe he sees it. So the footwork, the throws, the protection, everything has kind of combined to make this non-successful. But I've said it all along. As a quarterback, you know what you sign up for, and if you don't play well, you're going to be critiqued, and that's what's happening.
Yep. 2 more for you, Lance. I got to ask you about Isaiah Bond. I was very excited when they picked him up free second, third round draft pick grade. I don't know. And we've seen a couple, he didn't turn his head and bounced off his helmet. Was that miscommunication from who, from what? Is he not playing well, or is it the offensive play calling? Is it the quarterback? Is it all the above? Because to me, Lance, if you want to stretch the field with a guy with that speed, to keep it nice and simple, you don't need to learn a route. Say, hey, brother, run straight really fast, and I'm going to chuck it up and you go get it. Like, that seems pretty simple to try to stretch the field and keep a defense honest. What have you seen out of Isaiah Bond, who's been a big disappointment?
Well, he's everything. He's pretty much at this point what I had him his grade coming out because of his lack of production. He has a lot of physical tools. But he's not very good at the catch point. He's not very good on 50-50 balls. He's not really good run after catch. He can vertically stretch things. But he didn't have a lot of production at Texas, and he was by far the second best receiver behind Matthew Golden, who's with Green Bay now. So for me, he has all these tools, but he just hasn't been able to put it together. Almost finding, is he a slot? Is he an outside guy? But that's why I think the Browns draft. One of the reasons I love the Browns draft this year is that they drafted production over potential. And Isaiah Bond is a guy who has tons of potential, but he has never had the production. And I don't know if he'll ever have that production. When you talk about guys like Dillon Gabriel, for me, even though he has not played well, Mason Graham, these guys come in they've proven it at a high level. Now, can they prove it at this level? Maybe, maybe not. But they've proven it. They could do it to this point where Isaiah Bond did not produce at Texas. So the speed for me is a little bit overrated just because of the fact everybody in the NFL runs. You gotta be, you can't just have a fastball. You've got to be able to change speeds. You got to be able to throw a curveball. And that's what he's struggling with. He's not a really good route runner right now. But once again, he's intriguing because all those things he can't do, you can teach. You can't teach what he has, which is raw speed.
Right. Exactly. Great points there. 2 rookie videos we got, Jimmy says. Jimmy, pull up the first one. Rookies at the bye. Okay, what are we looking at here?
Well, you can see here, Browns went with a 7 lineman, 2 tight end, Junkins at the quarterback. Junkins has been really good in this gap scheme. And against Miami, this is a counter where they're going to pull the backside guard and the tight end. They're going to block down on the right side, and they're going to run a gap scheme. And I think gap scheme really helped these young tackles because it's a lot less thinking than zone. If you think about zone is a reactionary kind of play where you not only takes brawn, but it takes brain, where gap is more you're going to you're attacking mode, right? You're not thinking as much. You don't have as many rules. You get to be. So I think Junkins is really, really good at getting downhill. He has been outstanding since he got here. The rookies that they have drafted they've been outstanding, not only in their play, but just their overall, they're good teammates. They practice hard. Schlesinger and Graham and all these guys have just been outstanding throughout.
Yeah, hopefully Schlesinger not too long out with that high ankle sprain. And Judkins looks like they said day-to-day on the AC joint, so with the bye, hopefully that's okay. One more we got. Jimmy, pop her up. One more rookie vid. Okay, what are we seeing?
Let me take a look here. Okay, so we're gonna get a power here, and you're gonna see a good double team. This is the gap scheme I was talking about. This is Junkins' 46-yard touchdown run.
Yes.
And what you see here is that when it goes back here, you're gonna see a couple things happen. One is you're gonna see Harold Fannin at the fullback. That's important. So you're gonna get a double team here. That's called a deuce. The tight end's gonna block out of the 9. Batonio's gonna pull for the number 1 linebacker in the box right there. Fannin's gonna pick up force, which is gonna come off the edge there, and then you get him downhill. And again, on that gap scheme. The gap scheme creates automatic seams. As we're zone, you can go anywhere. A gap scheme is there's a set area. And right there is where he's going to run, right behind that big double team. And that's KT Levinson, who's really struggling with pass protection. But this is what this young man can do. And again, when you have some success in the run game, sometimes it leads over into your pass protection. So, again, big chunk play, really good play by Junkins. He's been outstanding, obviously. But Fannin's been really good. Some of the undrafted rookies have been good. So Really impressive rookie class. Obviously, they're the foundation. We talk about with Junkins, these guys are going to start to wear down a little bit. Sampson's been really good, even though he's not been as much. He's been really good in his role. So they just got to, right now is when they start to wear down, because over the next couple weeks here, it would be the end of the college season. Now they have another whole season to play. So just keeping those guys fresh. Junkins looks like a keeper. He's a really, really explosive back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Bye week comes at the best time. Like you said, start to wear down when now you get fresh. Refreshen, rejuvenate, and see what they can do coming out of the bye against the New York Jets. Lance, man, love having these film breakdowns with you, brother. Thank you so much. Let's do it again before the end of the season. But tell people where they can find you, hear you, read you.
Well, I'm on Cleveland.com. You can always look up my name, Lance Reisland, on Cleveland.com. I'm on X, and I'm on Instagram just at Lance Reisland, LanceReisland. Really simple. If you'd like to see some breakdowns and stuff we talk about, anything you'd like, let me know, and I'll try to figure it out for you.
We love it, buddy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. There he goes. Lance Reisland from Cleveland.com and 92.3 Fan. Boy, you know what? As usual, Lance has me feeling a bit more positive coming out of it. Oh, that Judkins finishing on that 46-yard Judkins touchdown. That's the good stuff right there. You see when it works, right? Look at what they were able to do. You have the 7 linemen, you have the creativity, you have the push. You know what we didn't see there? Him run straight into a wall like we saw against New England. There was a little bit of creativity. Creativity doesn't mean flea flickers and tosses and reverse jet sweeps. No, it can be you use the double, use the tight end to come in and create a space that way. That is different than running in a straight line into a wall of New England Patriots, which we saw a lot, which is why poor Judkins had 9 carries for 19 yards and busted up his shoulder. Right? Like, there's good things here. That's what drives me nuts. This is a better team than the 1-15, 0-16 teams. The offense, maybe not so much. But everything else is right there. You got the running back. You got a new tight end. There are pieces. Stefanski, the collaboration, has to figure out. And the lack of in-game adjustments has been something that's plagued Stefanski's whole career as a head coach with the Browns. It just has. Doesn't make good adjustments. I don't know why that is. You'd think you'd get better at it. You think you'd work at it. Doesn't happen. Next up is the bye. And then the Jets. And as we declutter our minds from that loss, hopefully by then. Hey, you know what, though? We can't count the Jets as a win. They just beat Cincinnati. They popped up 39 points. That's not a gimme anymore, right? We'll worry about that when the time comes. Now we got to worry about building up our fantasy football team and going under the wire. All right, so we came out of bye again, right? Barely survived. 8 teams on bye, just gross. This week, of course, we start with the Thursday nighter, Ravens and Dolphins, and the teams on bye, Browns, Jets, Eagles, Buccaneers. So the Jets coming to have a bye too, so both teams get a chance to prepare actually for each other. So that's actually kind of interesting. The main spots that we're going to be missing, Eagles and Buccaneers. Lights out. So we need some receivers, right? I need some receivers. Where are we going to get these receivers? I think Troy Franklin out of Denver, quietly, last couple of weeks, and I've had him on a couple teams, and he's been hit or miss. The last 2 weeks, hit. 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. 2 this past week. 26.9 fantasy points. 1 the week before with 10 targets, 10-8. So you can say, Andy, he's not going to score a touchdown every week. Fine. But we've seen the target share go 10-8. That shows me there's an emphasis to get him the ball. Remember, this is an offense with Cortland Sutton as well. We're having 6 and 3 catches. Now we need to get the catches out of those targets up. But there's production there. Rostered in 37% of Yahoo leagues. There's an ad for you right there. Kayshon Boutte for the Patriots. Slow start, little bit of like, is he going to be a production guy? Is he not going to be a production guy? 53% rostered on Sleeper. Has Atlanta coming up next. Now it's 13-plus fantasy points in 3 straight games. That's nothing to sneeze at off the waiver wire, right? So we got Boutte there. Also, Jameer Dike for the Titans, 19% ownership. 163 combined yards and a touchdown the last 2 weeks for a combined 33.2 fantasy points. So we're in the mid-teens. Scary thing about the Titans is that they are bad. But someone's got to get the ball, and it seems to be this guy. And he's owned in 19% of leagues. Also keep an eye, Christian Watson, 15% ownership, back for the Packers. I still think Tucker Kraft, and I told you guys leading up to the season, Tucker Kraft was one of the studs to watch. Rising tight end star. I got him on a couple of my teams, and it is working out well. This guy's He could end up being the top tight end in the NFL. Come to fantasy football this year. He really could. So you got Golden. You got other people. Now Watson's back. Could be a guy that you can come back in. 84 yards on 4 catches with the win over the Steelers. Nice yardage. Maybe a little better standard to start in standard leagues, but somebody to watch. I like the others I mentioned better, but Watson certainly has to be someone to consider. Now, we're looking quarterback. Trevor Lawrence has been quietly, nice steady Eddie. High teens. He's rostered 44% of sleeper. 3 straight games, 17-plus fantasy points. I'll take that off the waiver wire. Under 50% ownership, right? How about C.J. Stroud right around that 50 mark? Slow start. Pounded the 49ers. Did not see that come. 21.7 fantasy points in the win. Now we're starting to see 18-plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4. So we're starting to see the uptick now for C.J. Stroud, maybe getting back a little bit to what we were hoping for in these fantasy teams, right? So Stroud is there. Lawrence is there. Still don't mind Flacco. Running back wise, Scatterbo out. Oh, that leg snap for the jump. Oof. So now the obvious one is Tyrone Tracy, 35% ownership. I'm not excited about it, but what are we going to do, right? At least it's a viable guy who has produced some. Now, Lamar Jackson and company. Yeah, boy, the Ravens. Justice Hill, big old freaking stinker last week after a 9-point performance before with Huntley in there. I thought it might be a good production day. You can drop Justice Hill. It is really tough to trust him. He had that nice blip, thought it might have continued. It did not. Tyjae Spears for the Titans, but we're playing with limited offenses with limited offensive production. He really popped, has not taken over Tyrod Taylor. So we see the last 3 weeks for Spears. 9 fantasy points, 7, 17.2. So if you're comfortable with him maybe topping out at like 10 or 9, okay. But there's just not a whole lot to like there. Keep an eye on Quinshon Judkins' shoulder. If he's out, Dylan Sampson in PPR only. And again, it's against the Jets. I don't love it even if he is the guy. Bam Knight for the Cardinals coming back perhaps. Sean Tucker, I'm not buying. Bucks are on the buy anyway. Siphon that touchdown. Pissed me off from Rashad White. I don't like that. And for tight ends, little Juwan Johnson, right? Noah Fant, maybe. A.J. Barner has been up and down. These are the type of guys, like Mason Taylor, really slow. I'm not sure what he did against the Bengals because I've picked him up. I have him on my bench. The rookie, who I liked him coming out. Now, he might have had a big day because it was Cincinnati. Yeah, I had a touchdown. But the weeks before that, 2 stinker weeks, you're kind of playing with fire here coming out of the bye. You're not using them for this week. So if you got any other fantasy football questions, hit me up. These are some of the under-the-wire guys to go grab, usually around 50% or less. Go pick them up. If you have any questions, though, specifically, hit me up on X, @SickPodBrowns, @AndyMC81, Instagram, @AndyMCSports, hashtag AskAndy. Ask away. I'll answer them on X or Instagram, whatever, and then we'll also answer them live Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, the Sick Podcast, coming at you as always, live Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern, where you jump in the chat. We always have a great time in the chat. Jump in live. It's tons of fun. Ask your questions live. We go through live injury updates. What's going to happen? Start sits, ultimate parlay party betting ticket. See if we can hit one of these days. We're going to do like 10, 12 leg parlays and usually tee up the Browns. This week we don't have to. So we'll really focus in on the fantasy football side. So jump in there. Big thanks to Lance Reisland from Cleveland.com. What a stud breaking down film with us. For producer Jimmy, I'm Andy McNamara, and we'll see you Sunday. And as always, go Browns!
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.